And here's the hat, just in case you wanted to see it. So, this is what I've been working on. As you can see, it's not finished yet. There's still more stuff that I want to put through. There's even stuff up there that you can't see in the shot. I'm testing this, so hopefully I am in the shot. If not, you can see Superman decked out, Justice League hat that my peoples gave me. And it's like a super fit. It's barely, and I couldn't find a hero shirt. And they were like, yo, we left you a surprise for your video. And I was like, all right, let me check. So I started looking through because I couldn't find my Aquaman hat, couldn't find my this other hat I got, and I was like, I need something. I got to be decked out for this. And then I found this, and I was like, oh yeah, they did say they left me something for the Justice League video. Thank goodness, right? Because I got a bunch of stuff piled up, so I'm like, I forgot where I put these. Don't worry, I am actually very organized. It's just because I was redoing this, I had to take stuff out, put stuff in. Anyway, Justice League. The Snyder Cut. So, here is my review. And I'm actually going to try to keep this one without any spoilers because I personally feel you should go watch it. Anybody who says this movie is not that delivered or pretty much the same, you're wrong. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. You're wrong. We're talking about a 2-hour chopped up movie where, like, Snyder shot 80% of the film. And then I think Whedon, they said, cut out like 50% of the film. So let's go through it. The story flows a lot better. It makes more sense. It's the characters are more established, and the motivations are there. It's much more clear. So I'm gonna go through each character and give you their thing. Starting with Aquaman. Aquaman in the original one was kind of more of the dude bro jokey guy. I liked him actually. I actually liked him that way. This version, he still has that kind of personality, but it's much more subdued. He has moments, and I actually like this version too. Like I thought that was a really cool way to do him too. He's a little bit more in a darker place. You do see that he drinks a lot. That even leads into his movie. He's angry and upset about a lot of things that's happened in his life, and for there, it really works. A lot of his jokier moments that Whedon put in are not there now. He's a little bit more astute about the situation. It's not like he's like, oh well, here we go, like, so basically, here's something that I don't think people think of that I actually thought of last night when I was watching with my friend. That whole group of them, of the originals, before, if okay, like I said, it's only going to be a little bit of spoiler. So if you haven't seen it, the other one, I'm sorry, but basically the group without Superman. You will see that the group is a bunch of scientists in different fields, except for Aquaman. So Aquaman's thing is that normally you can either have a person be like kind of like say things, which he does. At certain times he does have apprehension about things, and he shows moments of things where you would think that he's kind of aloof and stoic, but he actually does care. It's just the way he conveys it, and I thought that was very, very nicely done. He was very subdued, but he did have his moments where he was like, yeah, like, you know, and I thought that was great. It showed, he had these moments where it was like, it showed his personality sprinkled throughout. The story, there was much more to Atlantis that's dealing with the Justice League, and it wasn't like a one-off here and this weird conversation that he had on some pier or something. No, like, you see people who are important to him. It makes more sense why he showed up. How he showed up was better. Even what he was using and why, and the outfit and the things and why he was supposed to be there. It wasn't just like he just showed up and he did it. It was a much better thing. Atlantis showed much more promise, stuff like that. His subduedness with everyone else actually played off of everyone very well. So that's Aquaman. The more dude bro thing that some people were like, it still worked. It's there, like I said, but it's much more subdued. He's not constantly talking. He's actually very quiet and he's watching a lot of things. And then he has little conversations. And I actually like that because it's still, his personality still came out, but it was very mellow. And I thought it was cool, but yet he was still Aquaman. And I hope that makes sense. Wonder Woman. The Amazons were all over this movie. They were extremely important, or this, movie series, whatever. They were extremely important. They worked. They were good. I loved it. It made me want more of them. It was awesome. You got to see them in full scale, just badassery. And the Amazons got what they need, like what they deserved, which is that kind of spotlight. That, with their importance to the story, what was going on, was great. Wonder Woman, who's Argalis, whatever, one of the scientist people, she was awesome because, for one, all of the weird Whedon forced moments, like all of the booty shots, the weird scene where like there's a whole bunch of weird tension with Flash, borderline creepy, like when he's on top of her, he's like, ooh, like that and stuff, and that's gone. In this movie, this is the Wonder Woman I want to see for the third movie. She was astute. She was awesome. She walked in the room and commanded the room. She was the powerhouse she's supposed to be. How she used her weapons, which is fine. Wonder Woman 84 is fine. I still have to actually drop that review, by the way. I'm not done editing it yet. But Wonder Woman 84 was fine for what they did. But this Wonder Woman in the third one, they should be modern times, and this is the version of Wonder Woman I want to see. Also too, where Whedon did that thing, that weird conversation between her and Batman, where Batman was kind of acting like a jerk, where he hurt his shoulder, he's all frustrated, he's like, oh, you hid from the world, blah, 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 blah. That's gone, as it should be, because that didn't make sense. And here's the funny part, I didn't hate the Justice League, that's what I'm calling that for now. I didn't hate it, but there's a lot of gripes I would have. One day, I'll review it as well. She actually talked about how she was in the previous war. She was like, I had something and I had to learn how to open up after I lost them, which actually was in line with Wonder Woman 84. And you could see that Wonder Woman was operational, but she wasn't always out in the world. Like, everyone didn't see her all the time. She kind of did her thing and would leave. The bank scene, her entrance, 1,000 times better. It was much more vicious. How she did this stuff, her what she was using, her speed was better. It was cooler. How she was hitting things, how she, like, when she used her bracers, it was great. They even had a moment that was in there that it felt more earned when the one girl looked at her with reverence, as a hero should. You could see the inspiration, and she said, "Can I be like you?" And Wonder Woman's like, "You can be anything you want to be." It was great. I don't care what anyone says. Some people will, like, anytime anything happens with women, it's like SJW. No, there are times where SJW things are. That was not one of them. She just did this amazing thing. I would have been like, oh, like inspired. Like, oh my God, look at that. Like, it was so great how she did her. So she did it. I was like, oh, yo, the scene was better. Like I said, I'm not going to try to hit y'all with spoilers, but when Wonder Woman was like, get this out of here. I was like, yes. Wonder Woman was beast moding. She was sword shield. She's like, oh, we at war? They getting sliced up. It was awesome. So Wonder Woman's character was great. She was enough to be information, but I also like the fact that she kind of was like, I'm here to do this. And she was like, all right. And she was the information person because she knew what from the Amazons. That worked for me. And she was just like, she would enter the room and was like slicing people up. And like, nope, swink, as she would be as an Amazon. Now, so that's Aquaman, Wonder Woman. I'm trying to get to each story as they're heavier. Like I said, I'm not trying to keep this as spoilers, but if you did not see Justice League, I'm sorry. There are going to be details I'm going to talk about that make, like I said, a little bit of spoilers. So now we're going to get to Superman. Everything about that was better. His awakening was better. How they handled that. Why he did it. What got him to do it. How they did the his interaction. How he started to remember what was going on. What was there. And funny enough, there was something that Joss cut out that dealt with his mother. And I said something immediately when I saw it, because I actually stopped watching the trailers. I was in after like the second trailer. I was like, nope, I had to avoid them. I've watched them now, and I saw that they kind of semi-revealed one, but you didn't tell what it was right away. You thought it was something else. Funny enough, there's a thing that happens with his mom and Lois Lane that Whedon thought was smart to cut. It was dumb to cut that. And I looked at it and I went, wait a minute. Like, I'm listening. I'm like, nah, something's off about that. And my boy was like, what are you talking? He's like, and then she said, then there's something else was said, and he was like, wait, I'm starting to see it too. Then there's like this big surprise. So see that. It was great. I loved it. I loved what they did. So the battle with Superman was better. The introduction was better. The suit, I love that he, the Black's costume. I did find out this morning that Snyder wanted to give him the mullet and the beard. I thought that would have been cool, and it sucks because at that time he already had the beard. So I was like, yeah, why did you guys do that? That whole mustache mishap, which he fixed, shouldn't have even happened. He should have woke up and had his beard. He already had a mustache and a facial hair anyway from doing the Mission Impossible movie. I was like, you already have it. Just leave that. Like, be like, oh, he's starting to grow his hair, and just add the extensions. I don't know why they didn't do that. To me, that was an obvious easy. Oh, he can't shave for that? Oh, that's no problem. Let's spend money on it instead of just leaving it and making it even more comic book accurate. They didn't explain the black suit, but if you're a comic book fan, you know what the black suit was for. Like, Superman had his powers, but I think he was still doing something. And he actually does something in the film that leads to the only second time. Now, I'm going to say what it was, just in case you didn't catch it. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep the spoiler light, but it's going to have some spoiler in it. So please, right now, in Superman Returns, before he lifts up the, if you didn't see Superman Returns, I'm sorry, it's too late. It's been decades. It's been over a decade. Get over it. When he lifts up the Kryptonite Island, he does something when he flies in the air. And if you know Superman, like I do, you know what he does when he flies out into space and looks at the end for a reason. Before he does something when he needs that extra. This happened in that movie. Something similar. I'll leave it like that. That way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're there. If you do, you still may not get it, or you might get it. I'm sorry if I spoiled it. But I'm going to say it like that because this way I didn't outright say it. But something he did to lift the Kryptonite thing, he did something very similar in this movie for a reason. But it's not the Kryptonite Island. It's what he did prior. Anyway, his characterization was good. The conversation was better. What was going on, his interaction, all of that. I liked shit. But Superman really needed to be there for what he did, and it was perfect for what he was. Alright, so now we're going to get into Batman. Batman was no longer the jokey, kind of angry, upset, like, the Whedon one had him where he was, like, frustrated because he couldn't get it together. But then it was funny because Batman's led groups before and things have happened. So this time it was he had a determination. He still had the same thing of he didn't care about what was going to happen per se, but his whole mission was I need to get everyone together, like Superman said. And it was incredible why he did and what he had to do. You could see the difference from the previous movie, BVS. Watch the director's cut if you're going to watch BVS. I don't care if people can sit there and go, oh, it was so bad. No, it wasn't. I can name Marvel movies that were worse, and they were. That, in opinion, it's a fact of life. Um, you could see from his introduction to BVS to this the difference in his character. There was character growth, and it was very evident in this one. There was some cool tech. You saw him actually improving his tech throughout to adjust to the fight. I love that. He actually he could fight the parademons, but you would see he had trouble with them because they're parademons. But yet he still gave it to him, and it was ways he did it that was cool. His personality was very good. Like he was very astute. He was still Batman, but he wasn't he had the anger or something, but he wasn't so angry. He was just like that. It was more like he was like, all right, this is how we're gonna have to deal with this kind of thing. And he was a planner. Like I liked how they did that. There was strategy. There was a chemistry with him. He was like trying to feel everyone out and trying to like match them, but yet he still was Batman. Him and Alfred's relationship was so well depicted because Alfred would like come at him the way Alfred does, and Batman would have that thing, and I thought that was great. And it was so worked on and just excellent how they pieced that together. And he was much more focused. The whole "do you bleed?" Yeah, that scene was different. No, don't get me wrong, I did find it funny because to me, I find it funny when people take the piss out of Batman a little bit, not to the point of destroying him, because too many fans to me swear Batman can beat everyone no matter what, hands down, and that doesn't make sense. Like it's like they always forget what makes him cool, that he's a human doing this, and sometimes the human's going to be outclassed. This version with the Superman battle and him, they got the do you bleed? Mm-hmm. No, but Superman definitely looked at him like mm-hmm. And when they had their situation, it was more of this is actually what would happen, and it wasn't like Batman was like, oh, my ribs, my shoulder. No, Batman was a tough, like the way he is, he can just take it, he eats it. But it was one of those situations where it was like, okay, he's in trouble. And that whole, I gotta have the secret weapon. Oh, it's hard. Like, no, cut that. And I liked it better this way. It was more organic what happened with Lois, and there was a lot that goes on with Lois. As well. Her story, much more throughout, and it felt more natural. But Batman was definitely more Batman. He was a good leader, actually, overall. He was a much better leader. It didn't seem like the group was too busy like going at him. It was doing this. Also, some of the stuff like where like Aquaman was like, sorry if you heard that. I forgot to silence the phone. Where he's like a bat. I dig it. Like they got rid of some of that where it was more, like I said, subdued, where he said things and then it was just there. I liked it when he did it. Don't get me wrong, I love Aquaman. It's just that particular thing in this movie. His interaction with him was a little bit more straightforward kind of thing. So that's Batman. Now, the reason why I saved these two for last, there was much more. Flash, hilarious. They fixed that stupid running. And I remember Zack Snyder said he actually helped him with a runner. The whole Flash was just completely uncertain and he didn't know, and the just save one, which I was like, that's fine. But why are you having it where Flash is like looking up to him that hard? Nope, they got rid of that. Flash still had his uncertainties, but it was more of the way New Frontier had Flash. Flash was kind of there, but it was more like a situation. They put his stuff back in the movie. It worked. Now, I like Barry's dad in the show better, but for what they needed for this, it actually made sense, and it was enough time that I was like, yeah. Also, too, John Wesley Shipp, it's the original Flash, so that's probably why. But the dad was really good, and they had the conversation. The thing between him and Iris, I actually really liked how they did it. And I also like the fact they did take a different direction from the show, which I was worried about. Because the dad thing only came in because of the show, and then they mixed it into the comics, and now it's that because it was a good idea for the show. When the show was there to basically get a past person in there. His whole scene was great. You got to see how his powers worked and how these things are, and it was awesome. How he can take moments in time, fantastic. His jokes were on point. They weren't over. They didn't feel forced. It was very natural for him, like the certain things, and he's very fast. But it's not the more calmer Barry, but I understand why they made him. This is a very young Barry, so not having Wally and stuff, I kind of get it. And I suspect if they do introduce Wally, it's going to be the Black Wally, and he's going to be just a lot younger, because Barry felt like the kid of the group, but he could use his powers. Oh, and his powers were so much cooler in this. The sound was better. The look was better. Like I said, his running is like, it was like he would take these massive strides. And when he would do stuff like moving around, it was just amazing. It was like, I was like, yeah. And it felt like he's like, shoot, 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 shoot. And it was like how he was hitting stuff. And I was like, that was awesome. And every time you see him use his powers, it was cool. When they explained Speed Force, when they showed what his powers could do and what his powers surrounded, it was great. He made a joke about the hair, because my one friend complained about the hair, like the drag would break his neck, and I'm like, he manipulates time in this series, which Snyder Ben said that he manipulates time when he's running, so his speed is more of a time manipulation, not so much so that doesn't matter. But I digress. And this one, when he caught the thing and how he still got encouraged. But he was more of a, I know who I am, I'm just around Titans kind of thing. And he had a moment where he was like, I've belonged. Just like Justice League New Frontier. And I was like, he had his moment. And I was like, wow. They changed the whole thing with the whole Superman back, and he's trying to help people, and it's it felt like they always were kind of undercutting him a little bit to go, see, he's the kid, he's incompetent, look what Superman did compared to him. Nope, all that was gone. Barry had a moment. He had a couple moments actually in this movie, but there was one particular moment that Barry, it was like, the Flash has arrived. The Flash is here. And it was one of those moments, and I was clapping. I was like, this is great. I actually clapped a couple times during this movie. There was his assertiveness, his relationship with his father, why he did, his motivations were there. He didn't feel like just some lost kid. I need friends. I'm lonely. I'm weird. It was like he had it, but there was a reason. His whole focus was on his dad, which if you haven't watched The Flash by now, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the spoiler, but you should have watched these things by now. Something, if you're watching this. But it's like his whole focus. So you take away Joe West from the TV show, and this is how Barry would have been. And it was like his focus was so there that it consumed his life, and that's what his dad was worried about. And I like that. And I hope that wasn't a spoiler. I don't think that was. That was awesome. And I think he was more of a complete character. Cyborg, I actually watched this and went, wow, now I'm going to miss Ray Fisher. I understand his frustration. I don't think he went about it the right way, but after watching this, I understand his frustration. They cut him down to whittles, and they changed something, and the relationship between him and his parents, him and his father, which has always been a big thing. The relationship between him and his father, and the things that have happened, and they did him like the New 52 more evolution as he goes one, which I loved how they did that. He's definitely the heart of the film. It's like the eyes of the film was Flash. You got to see how we would see them, is how Flash will while he stands among them. The heart of the film was definitely, which I found it funny because he had the red light. So at the Whedon one had it where it was like he learning how to evolve, and this one his father helped him evolve, but in a different way, in a more organic, more beautiful way, more natural way. The same with Barry when he heard the things. By the way, I just want to say something else too about Superman. Now this reminds me, there is a scene that rivals Man of Steel's thing when he goes down to fly, but this time it's doubled, and it reminded me of Smallville when we saw Clark finally learn how to fly, and it was like, oh shoot, a Darkseid fight, and you were prepped, and it was like 3 seconds, and I was very mad for a second. Then the rest of it was cool, but it was one of those. The first time he flew, if you remember who he heard, this time he heard both versions. Now, you're wondering when you see it, you'll get it, and I loved it. How they did it. I was like, Superman! Yes! And then he did the thing where he was, I'm like, oh yeah, and it was beautiful and it was great. I just wanted to add that part when his first flight again, and how they did it, like his first true flight as I'm Superman and I'm remembering who I am. So back to the thing. Cyborg had this moment, and it was wonderful, and the way him and his father had these interactions was great, and it was like they had to find their own common ground, and the how Cyborg was better. He felt important. He was very like there was a lot of things why he was there, and it was just beautiful. The relationship with his mother versus the relationship with him and what he could do, and they gave him the verse and how he helped people in his own way. Great. Now, the group themselves were way more organic. It wasn't like we were just a bunch of people butting heads. No, each one had a purpose for being there, and they found their common grounds. They actually focused a little bit more on the Atlantean Amazon beef, which was great because, as you've seen, if you've ever watched Flashpoint or read Flashpoint, Amazons and Atlanteans are very old-lived races, and they don't get along as well. One's with Neptune, one's with Zeus, and there's also a hint to Wonder Woman from Steppenwolf about what the third movie should be about, her finding out about her bloodline. Please, there's a way they can make that third movie amazing. If they base it like this Wonder Woman, amazing. Now, I know they're going to get Patty, please don't put in all the lovey like, look at this movie, make that Wonder Woman. And combine it with their first one, because Wonder Woman did not play no games, and she acted the way she did. I know that Patty Jenkins was like, well, she wouldn't have heads. Yes, she would. I understand why you didn't do it for that because of her heart, but by this point, she's a battle-hardened Amazonian warrior, and yeah, she took bodies. Then the group themselves, everything felt organic, it felt natural, it felt progressive. They started to find their way, even when they stumbled. It was like, we have to do this, how we did it, the Age of Heroes did. And it was very good why they worked together and how they started to mesh with Diana. They also did the hint about Diana and Batman, which was much better than what we saw with that weird angst, and Batman would just be like a jerk to her and a dick to her. Like, this was more of they had a moment or two, and I was like, cool, they're kind of playing off they might have an attraction. But it was very subtle, very light, and I liked it because it makes sense. I kind of liked it when they did it in the Justice League cartoon show too, which to me that was a tip of the hat, the Justice League cartoon. Trying to think, is there anything? Steppenwolf motivations were better. Steppenwolf looked 1,000 times better. He felt more of a threat. He was more of a threat. Even the fights where people could do stuff to him, it was like he was a threat, and he was wrecking shop everywhere he went. It was hard to stop him, and it was fantastic. When they got to the fights with him, it was like when you seen someone give it to him, Aquaman would give it to him, or Wonder Woman, it was like, yeah. But it was a challenge, and it was a back and forth. Like, Steppenwolf didn't feel like he was like, oh, like I felt like in the other movie, Aquaman and Wonder Woman could have kind of taken him for the most part with a little bit more help. Like, it was almost like Superman was just the cherry on top of, wow, did you even need him by that point? Where this one, it felt like, okay, I understand, because Steppenwolf was going off, and he was getting more and more determined as he was going. That was awesome. His motivations were better. It was similar to the comics and who he was, why he was doing what he did, what he needed to do, and they dropped Easter eggs. So Steppenwolf was a much stronger villain, very powerful, very assertive, a little bit sympathetic, but not enough to go, yeah, but there was a desperation and why, and I love that. Darkseid was amazing. I'm not even going to tell you nothing else. Darkseid, Autumn, just boss. That's it. That's all you need to know. Great. I want to see more of that. Amazing. Boom. The war in the beginning, better. More cooler. The War of Man. It was awesome. It was how they transitioned into it. Everything. Or the Three Kingdoms, kind of like the Five Armies, but better than Lord of the Rings. It was that was cool. I'm trying to think. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? Yeah, that was cool. That's all the characters that were very important. I don't even need to go into Darkseid and Darkseid. They were just perfect. There was something else. So this movie as a whole, there were surprises. They said a name. Because I'm a comic book nerd, knew exactly who it was, and I told my boy because he's not. I was like, do you know who that is? Even though he didn't pick up on it right away, so I said it because he watches the TV shows. There's a character that shows up from the TV shows. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to say who it is because you may not catch it to the end, or you may not get the spoiler. But he does show up in a couple of the TV shows. He's a character like another character who's about to leave the show that grows. That's all I'll say. And I said to my boy, he's like, "Oh my god, it is!" Because he remembered the show. There was some definitely character surprises. Even if they weren't there, they were kind of there, which I lost my mind because I saw one who is one of my favorite characters. And I was like, oh my god! I was losing my mind. There is another character or two that shows up. Basically, the DC universe is getting bigger. They're showing a couple characters that you, down the line, you could see was established to be something. That was awesome. But pay attention. A couple of them are more obvious, a couple of them are less. I'll put it to you like this. There's a character, you know what? I'll help you. Hope this isn't spoilers. There's a character at Star Labs. And they specifically call out the name. And once you do, you'll know who it is. But there's sequences of things you see that happens, and there's a couple actual nightmare mind kind of sequences. And one of them shows a certain thing, and it shows, it's almost like it's at the future, and you see something, and it was like, oh my goodness. So that, the Joker, he totally redeemed himself. He didn't actually unredeem himself to me. I actually thought that Joker was not a bad Joker. I know people are like, what? No, it wasn't. It was just a determination. And don't talk to me about the tattoos. There's a comic book version with the tattoos. Get over it. I think he could have gotten more, but when people are like, he's the worst, I don't care if you think he's the worst, but don't sit there and try to say his performance was terrible. It wasn't terrible. But this definitely made it, this was like the best version of him. And in that little short time, he was completely redeemed for a lot of people. And even for me, he was just better. You're going to be surprised what you see versus what they showed you. It was like, they pick things, so don't expect it, but expect it kind of thing. The thing that shows, I guess you could say, the Legion, that whole conversation was better. That's all I'm going to say, just in case you didn't see it in the spoiler and you didn't see the original. But basically, there is a villain or two that shows up, and the conversation made more sense. It wasn't about, let's build a team. It was more about, I'm going to dismantle kind of things. And how they did it. And I'm hoping they do make the Batman thing with this character and them going at it. So that was awesome. Overall, everything about this film was incredible. I was never bored. I had fun. I got mad when we had to pause because he had to deal with family stuff. And it wasn't that I was mad about the family. I just wanted to go through it. And the 4 hours flew by. This movie, rating-wise, blew my mind. Top tier greatness. From the villains to the heroes to the groups to the sacrifices to the things to Cyborg's story to like why Cyborg finally became the hero who he was and what they did, and it was just it was so much better. It was awesome. I'm sorry, anybody who says it wasn't, you're either getting mad about the Geeks and Gamers things, get out your feelings. Because I feel like a couple people have now started to, it wasn't that good. It was mediocre. No, it wasn't. They're like, it wasn't that much different from the other one. Yes, it is. By a lot. There's only a few shots I recognize from the original. The fights were better. They had fights throughout. The storyline was smooth. It connected well. It was great. I'm going to watch it again today. It was so much better. And it was so well established. I wouldn't mind if they made Justice League 2 this way. With the full spread, let him do his full thing. And they left a lot of little nitpicks for future stuff, so I hope Warner Brothers is smart enough to actually go, Snyder, you know what, let's do this. And like I said, I'll talk about the Geeks and Gamers thing in my opinion, because I've seen some people, Snyder showed his true colors. Nah, I got something to say about that, because I think you're all being a little too overly sensitive about a lot of you about the people who you call the snowflakes. You're being snowflakes right now. Like I said, but I'll do a review, a talk about that and why I'm saying that. Because like I said, I'll get into it because I didn't like what Snyder did, but I didn't like people's reactions either. So anyway, back on a high note, watch this movie. It's definitely better than the other one. The CG was better, the action's better, the stuff, the storyline's better, the establishment's better, the relationships are better, the villain's motivation is better. He's a more well-rounded villain. Darkseid is perfect. Desai, Granny, all of them. They set up stuff. I would love to see more of this, actually. I don't even want to see another thing. I want to see something connected to this film. To me, this is the canon film of Justice League. Just like BVS, the director's cut. Man, it's like Suicide Squad, the director's cut. The director's cuts are better. This is how they should do it from now on. And the R rating was fantastic. I personally feel DC should do that from now on. You want to establish yourself different from Marvel, make R ratings, because it seems like they work. This, I'm noticing people are loving. High remarks on Rotten Tomatoes, even though I don't give a dang what critics have to say, because to me, critics are overhyped up, think they know it all, stupid people most of the time. Sorry, you are. I don't, to me, you want a film to be a certain way, and no. Most people like things that you think are garbage because you guys are too busy trying to be better than everyone instead of being awesome. Sorry, that's just how I feel about critics. I don't really like their job. But critically, it's doing well. Fans is doing well. Joker, rated R, better. I think DC, for the type of films they try to do, rated R works better. And this kind of showed it. And the Batman-Joker conversation was just cool. It was great. It was a great interaction. And to me, Ben Affleck's Batman is awesome. You saw the dark gray. I like that they did the dark gray and black. And it was dark gray. So, yeah. That's all I really had to say. Blew my mind. Geek protagonist. You stay safe. You stay healthy. You stay real. Thank you, my friend, who actually is the one who did a video with me about the hand thing from The Witches. I haven't watched that movie yet. Thank you, my friend, for this. I don't know. You probably still see the tags. Whatever. I just threw it on. I actually forgot she said it, and thank goodness, because I could not find my DC hats. So, like I said, blew my mind. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it.